don't think
No, I
someone's
don't
there.
have any. I don't have.
Oh,
Dave,
I
you
do
have
have a
any?
question. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Just what did I miss? What did that port end up being? What was the issue with the port not connecting right? What was it?
Um, it's not a port. It was not a port. I think the issue was our starting scripts. So I'm going to investigate that and let us know. But then, yeah, just like I said, you don't run it that way. I only wanted to show us how big the image can get if you do not do multi-stage. So running it that way was more of us repeating what we did with running it locally here. When we did npm run dev. All right. So most of the time, there's no point running doing an npm run dev because this is a front-end application. So just like I said, all your front-end application is going to need a multi-stage build. It can be 3 stages, it can be 4 stages, depending on how you want your image to be. So that's pretty much it.
So it what I could you elaborate like what we just built to the dev? You mean we shouldn't just build to dev, right? I mean, obviously we do like dev and staging and production and QA maybe. But that was it what holding up the image, or was that like the way we were doing it was too big? Was that the problem? The image was too big?
No, I wouldn't want to say that. I wouldn't want to say that. But then let me not use the heavy context. But then this is what I have to say. The main reason we are using container is, in fact, one of the reasons we are using container is the ability for us to scale up our environment pretty much, right? Yeah. And also make sure that as much of our applications are actually running. Now, when we get to distributed systems, we are going to see this much better. I mean, when we get to things like maybe ECS or Kubernetes, anyone will be using. But for now, Docker is not really painting the whole picture, right? So Docker, in production, we do not really run things with Docker, right? So but we still use Docker, but most times what Docker helps us do is just to build the image. So we build the image with Docker, push it to the particular repository we want, maybe ECR or ACR or Docker Hub or maybe GitLab repository, just any repository you want. Then your orchestration tool, maybe your ECS or Kubernetes. Let me use Kubernetes because I think we are familiar with Kubernetes. Kubernetes pulls the image which Docker built from any repository and run it for you. So yeah, this way, you can actually have the instance of that image running. You can have up to hundreds of those images or thousands of those images running on like 8 servers. All right. So Docker is not really going to give us that distributed computing. Docker only works best if you're using a particular node, just one node.
Okay.
That is one machine. All right. So, but when we start distributed computing, then we are really going to appreciate what Docker helps us achieve. Because right now, if we were to run this in a virtual machine, we're going to deploy EC2. Let's assume we are running it on AWS. We run this on EC2. Then if you want to scale up, we provision another EC2, then run the same copy of the application, maybe load balance. So depending, all right. And since we are dealing with the container helps us to abstract all the operating system stuff we're not using. All right. So container helps us to leverage on your hosts. Leverage on your hosts in a sense that you do not need an extra operating system again. Now it's running as a process, just like your Chrome is running. So that means if I should take out this guy, whatever is running, whatever I open here will definitely exit. So just like our Google Meet is running as a process on our machine. So container is not running as a virtual machine now, it's running as a process, just that this process is isolated with network, and it also has a different data cycle. So tomorrow when we come, we are going to see how data persists, because right now container is living as like an ordinary process in your local machine.
Yeah.
Because if it exists, let's assume you are running a database in a container, and people signed up, on your application and all those stuff. User data will definitely be on that container. But what happens if that container exists? Maybe it dies. What happens? All your information are gone. So it is safe to say that containers are ephemeral. They can just stay and go off. Maybe they can exit. Maybe due to memory and all that stuff. So persistent volume is going to help us to differentiate container runtime and our data runtime. So that means we get to manage our data separately and manage the container separately, so that if another container comes back, maybe after a particular process exits, it's going to pick up from where it stopped. So this way we don't get to lose data. Don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's good, right? So we just work right now. We just push from our local machine to the Nginx server, which is it's all local, right? But then normally we do it in containers or through Kubernetes orchestration, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's cool.
All right, guys. I don't know if this session was interesting. I don't know if we learned, but then tomorrow, when we come tomorrow, we will take it a step further. We'll look at networks, because right now Docker has so many networks you can attach to your container. Then we look at Docker volumes. Then we look at how to pass environment variables, because environment variables is going to help us give us that capability to not build our image just all the time. So let's assume I have a front-end application here. I also have a back-end application here. Then the way this guy talks to themselves is that this guy is going to connect with this guy. So most applications, they do not hard code the variable of this guy. So we are also going to see how we can decouple applications and couple them together. Should in case maybe I want to run, maybe my backend is running in another environment, this way I do not have to rebuild this particular image. So we're going to look at that in depth tomorrow, then see if there is time, we'll pick up an application. I have some couple of applications I'm working on. Then we'll see how we can run a full stack application. We'll see how the front end connects to the back end, then connects to the database. If there are any issues, just like today, we'll try to fix them together.
Cool.
All right. So, all right, guys. We'll meet tomorrow. You can actually practice this, maybe create an application or go to this guy. Okay, let's see if we can get this to run. But this is just about 7 years ago. So I'm going to copy this. Then I don't know if that will work. All right, so what we'll do is do git clone. If you don't know much about Git, don't worry. When we start your own personal classes, then we'll do more on Git. But what I'm trying to do is I'm getting the copy of this application to my local machine. So we'll hit enter. So this should clone the application, and the name of the folder is to do. So I'll simply go to do. Right. So this is it. So I can decide to open this with VS Code to just give us a better picture of what we are handling. So bring up a terminal, close this. So the first thing is we need to, let's try to run this locally and see if this works. So we go npm install. So npm install is going to help us install the dependencies this guy needs to work with the node modules. So let's give it some time, because it can actually take a while, especially if this application is think big or something. So let's give it some time. Okay. Yeah, this guy is, we having duplicated stuffs here. Now this is really not an error. It's just warning you that most of these packages are very old. So not an error.
Come on, boy.
Please give me a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, I think it's still installing. Oh. I think our node module is already here, so should be done any moment from now.
So just so I know, npm installs all the dependencies needed for React.
Yeah. The dependencies needed for this application, the React application, actually.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. If not, this guy will not work properly. So, like I explained the other time, I think it's done. So it can take like 1 minute, 2 minutes, depending on your internet. So all the dependencies are here. So you can simply do maybe npm stats or npm run dev.
I think Emmanuel has his hands up.
Okay, please. I am not actually seeing the screen. So if you have a question, you could just stop me anytime. All right, so npm run dev. So, all right, so missing script. So npm run. All right, so let's do npm stats. So if the npm run dev does not start, then you can use npm stats. npm stat is also going to start the development server. For npm run dev to work, I think you should have there's a script called a startup script. I think something like this, if I'm not mistaken. But you should have a startup script before that can work. So npm start, I think. Has it started?
No, not yet.
Let's give it some time. I'm not sure it has started. But if it does, it's going to display the port number this guy is running on. So you could take that port number to your browser and attach it to a local host, and it's going to open up this guy for you. So if you do care to run this application yourself, so let me share the repository link. Yeah. You can clone this repo or start afresh. All right. So start afresh. Anyone that works for you. All right, guys. So I think we'll end the class now. Continue tomorrow. So I think it's trying to, yeah, it has started. So it has started, I think. Yeah, it has started, but I think these are errors, is it? Yeah, there's an error here. It has started on port 3000. There are errors here. So just create yours, because this is definitely a very old application, all right? So, or you can look for a more recent one. You can always see the last updates. Maybe you check the GitHub. It's about 7 years ago. So the last commit was 7 years ago. So you can look for application that still works very well. But I think it's starting up, but it's taking time to load up. So it's a very heavy one. Can go ahead and containerize this. It's going to take out most of these heavy stuffs and help you to come up pretty soon. All right, guys. We'll see tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.